Everyone. This is Christie Arkovich from Tampa, Florida, a student loan attorney. And I thought that it was time to give an update for the Borrower Defense to Repayment program. We've had some great news from the Department of Ed recently. Basically, on June 16, the Department of Ed approved, it looks like 18,000 borrower defense claims regarding ITT tech. And so that's huge because when we started doing these for our clients, that was basically a school that we kind of targeted that we were hearing a lot from. And so there were two categories of allegations that was approved specifically by the Department of Ed for ITT Tech, and that involved those that had alleged that ITT Tech misled them or falsely represented what their employment prospects were, as well as their ability to transfer credits. And I think that was on each one of our applications. So key point out there is if you are an ITT Tech student, former student, you might want to look at the application that you filed, make sure that you have covered those two areas. If you have not, you may want to think about amending your claim if those two things were misrepresented to you. And so it's important to provide any evidence you have for that. If you have any recollection of what was said to you by whom, if you had any family members or friends that might have went with you, you can prepare an affidavit for them, etc. But basically, I think that those two areas are something that you do want to have in your applications. When will you hear about this? The Department of Ed is sending out notices to all of those who have filed borrower defense claims with respect to ITT Tech that have those allegations. And we do expect for them to give 100% forgiveness on the borrower defense claims filed when they have done so. And so that's huge. That is really the first approval of a new school since 2017. As of last week, July 9, we have 3 additional schools. Now, these are ones that probably most people haven't heard of, but I find it to be very, very encouraging and enlightening that they have chosen these 3 schools. And the reason is because these one-off type arrangements where you don't have a large mass of students alleging the same thing, maybe they will be able to get the same 100% discharge through the borrower defense that we can get with ITT, Corinthian, and Everest and some of the larger schools. And so the 3 schools are Westwood College, Maranello Schools of Beauty, and the Court Reporting Institute. So the allegations that were made by the people who filed these borrower defense claims, Westwood College specifically was on the inability, or I should say the ability to transfer credits, which turned out to not be true. They also made representations about the criminal justice program for its borrowers, basically saying that they would then be police officers in the Chicago PD, as well as it would lead to careers in Illinois. The Chicago PD, I guess, had an actual program where it would not accept those with credits from Westwood. So there's no way that could have been true at all. So that's specifically for Westwood. Maranello Schools of Beauty. This one involved the failure to train or the quality of the instruction, which is new. We have not seen that before. Generally, I have advised folks to stay away from the quality of the education, believing that to be more of a mismanagement as opposed to a false or fraudulent statement from the get-go. That would be where someone, they have a teacher, and they're midway through a semester, for instance, and the teacher leaves and they replace that person with someone who's not very experienced. Maybe they have the students watching videos and things like that. That was something that we heard a lot with respect to ITT Tech and some other schools. Well, in some part, that could be more mismanagement as opposed to actual fraud from the very get-go. But in this case, Maranello, apparently, they failed to even train those for its beauty school on how to cut hair. I mean, I would think that would be one of the major points. And so its students had difficulty passing state licensing tests and receiving any return on the investment whatsoever. And that phrase, receiving a return on the investment, I think that's important because anyone who goes to school, you need to think about what is the actual return on the investment. What do you expect to make? How long will you work? I can't count the number of clients that come to see us that they go to school for a master's or an advanced degree of some sort, but they don't do so until their 50s. Now, that's okay if you can provide payment for that out of your own savings or something like that. But if you expect to repay loans, you might be working well into your 60s to repay those. And so you have to think to yourself, is the return on investment there? The same thing goes for those who pick certain careers. Some careers don't pay very much. You have to recognize that. If you want to go into that career, then don't take a lot of student loans because they won't actually pay for themselves. They won't provide a fair return on investment. But the third school, I don't want to get too far off track, is Court Reporting Institute. And for that school, basically the representations made by the school was that someone would graduate within a certain time frame. That turned out not to be true. In fact, the Department of Ed found that only 2 to 6% actually graduated at all. And those that did took a substantially much longer time period than the school represented. So it gave that false sense of security that they would graduate at all and that they would graduate timely so that they could begin to repay those loans. Neither of those allegations were true. And so the Department of Ed granted, again, 100% discharge through the Borrower Defense Program. So those schools, again, Westwood College, Maranello Schools of Beauty, and Court Reporting Institute. Now, we don't have, I don't think we've had any from those 3 schools. I do remember maybe Westwood a little bit. And we do have a current client who's asking about that as well. But basically, it's critical that the Department of Ed has gone after smaller schools like this, because it shows me that whatever school that you went to, if those representations that school made to you early on were false in any way, then I think you have a good chance of 100% discharge in filing a borrower defense to repayment application. Now, remember, in the application, there's 2 points that they don't ask for. They ask for, what do you have to say about the school with respect to the accreditation, the transfer of credits, the cost of attendance, job placement rates, salaries. It asks all those questions. And that's very good. But what the application doesn't ask is what state law was violated, which is a mandatory element of a successful claim. It also doesn't ask for statute of limitations, again, a mandatory element for a successful claim. So if you don't touch on those 2 things, then I believe that's why Secretary DeVos actually denied many of the borrower defense claims in the last year, because she could. There was nothing regarding 2 mandatory elements, and it was failure to state a claim. So you need to address the statute of limitations. You need to address what state law was violated. Now, President Biden and the new Department of Ed's mandate, they may change those rules. They may not require that going forward. But at the moment, that's what's required. That's what's in the current rules. And so it's important to address those. If you need assistance with filing a borrower defense to repayment application, we can assist with that. But I do think that anyone who hasn't filed, if you believe that you were fraudulently misled by your school, get an application in, because the time clock is running, both in terms of the amount of time that's gone from when the school is no longer doing business, as well as maybe the money may run out, or the political motivation to discharge these may diminish. So you need to get your claims in now, have them fully documented as much as you possibly can, keeping in mind that I know a lot of this isn't in writing, but there are ways to kind of get around that. Again, affidavits from people that might have went with you, any notes, any memory that you have regarding what was said. We recommend, at least by minimum, a Google search to see what are other people saying, to remember to jog your memory as to what you may have been told. And you might be surprised, many times when you went to an original meeting or session, if a family member went, they're going to remember what was said. It was the one time they went to the school. It was an important event for them. So they're going to realize, and they're going to remember that you were told a certain thing, because they're going to have been maybe awestruck by how much you could have made, or the graduation rate that was quoted. You might not remember, they may. So that's important. There's also some investigations, state attorney generals, Congress investigations. There's all kinds of evidence in those sorts of things, and we include as much as we can in our applications. So this is great news, and it's also very quick. I think that we hopefully can expect, maybe on a monthly basis, new approvals coming out from the Department of Ed, because ITT was in June. These other schools were in July, and we're only in the beginning half of July. So let's keep our fingers crossed, and I hope you all have a great day. Please stay on our YouTube series, if you will. Please subscribe. The more subscribers we get, the more people I know that are receiving a benefit from these YouTube videos, and I'm happy to do them. What I'm going to do is title each one with respect to the type of relief that we see in it. So you don't have to watch, an hour's video. You can watch 5 minutes and just see what's happening with your particular claim. But do know there's no time frame on these. The reviews may take a while, so it's not like they're going to review your application in a month or two. It might take 6 months, might take a year, might take 2 years. But we are seeing great progress. So stay tuned. Thanks.